Hi guys, it's Percussion Friday. Alright, today I would like to say to all of my friends and followers on here that follow my Percussion Revolver series, thank you very much for supporting this and making it my #1 playlist. And to all the Remington shooters out there, I hear you, okay? I've been doing a lot with the Colts here lately, and everybody's, when you getting back to Remington, when you getting back to the Remington, when we doing Remington. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Remington a minute. Now, in a recent video, I showed how you put the sight marks onto the Colts. And someone said, could this be done on a Remington revolver? Absolutely. So let's talk about that. Now this is my Pieta Sheriff's model in 44. And I have made this adjustment to it. Now let's talk about this. It's actually easier on the Remington than it is on the Colt, because where I learned this technique was reading about Elmer Keith, and he talked about doing single action armies, which have a fixed sight rear on a top strap and a front blade. So I had to kind of retrofit it to work on cap and ball Colts. So this is the more true version of it. Okay, in a nutshell, what we've done is, like we've talked before, I have flattened off my front sight slightly. It was rounded. I've taken a file and just simply made it a flat top, and I've got on this side and kind of undercut it a little bit to reduce that glare that we talked about. Now it's just a square blade. Okay. My rear sight right here, I just simply deepened it and squared the bottom of the notch. I'm going to show this in drawings in a minute. And then across, I doubt if you can see it, across my front sight I have little nicks on the front sight. Those are reference marks. Okay, so now let me show you how those reference marks are utilized. Okay, first off, here's what my sight picture should look like now after I've deepened it. I should have the frame, drop down, square bottom, the back up, frame. My front sight should be a flat top, sitting in the middle, just like this. Okay? This is my front sight right here. Okay? Now, the marks on that sight allow me to add more or less front sight, to elevate the front sight, to change my point of elevation. Okay? By the original sight picture I had was this. A V, and that's no good. It's so narrow you can't go far down and then you just kind of disappear. So I widened out my notch slightly with a Dremel tool, just so it's flat bottom and the sides are vertical right here. Okay? Now, the marks on my front sight are the following. Here's the base. Here's the blade sticking up. Like that. Now remember, I wanted to shoot point of aim out to 10 yards for precision shooting important stuff like snakes up close to me. So I have taken, and I originally put a piece of masking tape on it, and I took a pencil and I made a mark. And I buried that front sight as deeply into that rear notch as I could. I just wanted to see a sliver of it. This is what I saw. Right there. Just the top of it, just barely peeking over it. And by shooting at a target that I put up, and I put a series of mark dots on it, about so wide, I would aim exactly dead on it and squeeze and see where my impact was. That was always shot 2 shots. And if it was a little high, I would do a little less sight. If it was a little low, I'd do a little more sight, until I kind of got a mean average of where I needed to mark. So when I did, I had found this mark I had put on this tape, that mark right there was the point blank mark. I then took my thumbnail, put up against it, and took a small triangular file and put it there and went across, and I cut a very fine mark across it right there that I could see. You could also use a jeweler's saw or some fine thing. You don't want to be too big and broad because you don't want to take up too much site. You want it just to be a reference point, okay? And so this was 10 yards sight. Now, I now elevated my rear sight, my front sight up to about the halfway point of my sight mark, and I went to shooting at like 18 yards. Why 18? I'm trying to go from about like 10 to 20 yards. So I'm going to go, 15 yards. So I'm going to say about 18 yards. That'd be a little low, a little high, whatever. So about 18 yards. I'm trying to, split the difference here a little bit. And I want to go out from say 10 to 25 yards. I'm making a big jump there, so I'm going to go about 18, kind of in the middle, okay? And by trial and error, doing what I just said, I put a paper plate on a cardboard box out there. I put 3 dots on it as aiming points. And again, with a piece of masking tape on my front sight, I marked and used that mark to figure a little high, a little low, and change that mark till I found where I had the best opportunity. Now, here's where we go. I determined that at about 18 yards, it was right here. Okay? Now that mark means that if I'm shooting at a target that's closer than 18 yards, I put here's my target, I put the sight on it 6 o'clock hole, like it's an ice cream cone sitting on top of it. If it's beyond that, like it's say 20 yards, I put the sight in the middle of the target. So now how I aim changes. If it's less than the 20-yard mark, I put it on the base of it. Because I know I'm going to shoot a grunt high. If it's beyond that point, I put it in the middle of it because I know it's going to drop into it. So that gives me that 10 out to 25 yard area, okay? Why 18? Why not 15? It seems to be, as the curve occurs, 18 is better for the farther range. I'll end up having to aim much lower, much higher, actually go over the top of the target to hit it at 25. And by doing that, I'm losing my sight picture. I could easily lob over, okay? Now, I then come up where my sight is even with the top of the front sight. Shoulder all the way across. Here is the original sight level. But I come up to the top of the frame, even with the top of the frame. And even with the top of that frame is going to be about 50 yards. So, just by bringing it up to there, I'm using the full sight, okay? So, from here, 50 yards. Okay? 50 yards. What if I want to try to lob something a lot longer out there? Why would you want to shoot something any further out? It's got to be a big target. Now for fun, we put up silhouettes out to 100 yards and lob rounds at them. For that, I need to add a little bit more. And for that, I'm using the sight base itself. So now when I angle this up in here, sorry about the chainsaw, guys. Guys across the road had a tree go down last night. I'm actually going to put the base of the front sight right there, even with the top of the frame, that base it's sitting on. And that's to lob it out like 75 or 100 yards. You're butt-shotting it out there at that point. Certainly with this little old short barrel. Okay? I can have good results on a human-sized silhouette at that part, meaning I hit it. Don't mean I got a group. You know, but shots should be in a hula hoop circle. Well, if I'm holding up a hula hoop, a lot of me's in that circle. but you're never going to be shooting at anything that far away of any consequence, okay? Certainly no dangerous animal. If it's something that big that far away, I'm going to try to hide or avoid it. If it was a bear or mountain lion that was rabid and was intent on putting a hole in me, yeah, I might try lobbing some shells into it to deter it off before it got close, but it's a stupid idea. It's just fun. At that point, we're putting a target out there to see how close we can get. So, the front sight of the Remington can be used as a windage sighting device, an elevation sighting device. Now for windage, remember how I widened that notch out? My gun shoots just a hair left. Not enough to make a correction at the muzzle by, filing it, but enough it does shoot a hair left. So, let's talk about that right quick. We have our frame, our sight notch, frame. Okay, the sight picture I have to use with Thumper, my little sheriff, is this. I want usually you'd want a sight in the middle with even light on both sides, but with this gun, what I have to do is this. That's my actual sight picture with this gun. 80-20. 80% of the light on this side, 20 on the other. It corrects for its slight tendency to shoot left. I just know it. When I bring the gun up, I put the rear sight touching this right side, and then I back it off where just a sliver of light. That's what my sight picture is for this gun. I have shot other guns that were not that way, that was dead center or the other side. Can you windage your elevation with it? Very minutely. At longer range, it makes a big difference. But up here close at 10 yards, no, not really. If it's a gun that's going to hit off left or right, you can correct slightly with the sight, and you can also correct slightly by deepening that notch to the left or the right. So if it's shooting left, I want to move the sight in the direction I want to go, so I would deepen the sight on the right hand side. But it's in a frame. There ain't a whole lot you can do there before you're cutting into frames, so you can't get out of this channel much. It is kind of pinched in a little, so you can relieve a little bit more on one side or the other, but only minutely. That's what you got to do. I hope this gives you some ideas, guys. Please leave any questions or comments below, and there will be shooting videos with the Remington coming up very shortly. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.